Hey there everyone, it's Brendan here from Crypto 101 and welcome back to another cryptocurrency market update. And this week the crypto markets brought us on a bit of an emotional roller coaster, and it all started with Bitcoin breaking down from its previous support of $60,000. Now, what we saw over here was Bitcoin actually reject the 50 and 20-day moving averages, which is what started this catalyst from around $67,000 all the way down to this new monthly low of $56,000. Now, since then, Bitcoin has actually recovered quite well from $56,000 all the way back up to $62,000. And with this, there's been a lot of good information and great statistics that have kind of come up in the background in some of these crypto earnings calls that I think have gone over a lot of people's heads. Now, if you're any kind of crypto investor, this is going to be something that you want to listen into. It doesn't matter if you are a Bitcoin owner, an Ethereum maximalist, or you're just an altcoin or meme coin trader. This is going to be something that affects you in one way or another because it all relates to everything that's happening with major exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So not only are we going to be diving into the charts, examining everything that is kind of happening over here in the macro markets, but also we're going to be looking at some of these statistics that, again, have kind of gone unnoticed behind the scenes, but really impact what's happening throughout the entire crypto market. So if that does sound interesting to you, all that we ask is two things. Number one, you hit the like button. Number two, you hit the subscribe button. And maybe if you really like the content that we have, check out those links in the description down below because we got some great communities that all of you can be plugged into as well. So let's kick things off first here with everything that's happening around the world of Coinbase. But it's really so much more than that because they talk about statistics from some of the ETFs and other things like this. So what's happening over here? Well, Coinbase first quarter profits surged above $1 billion from everything that we are seeing from the ETF trend, right? The ETF frenzy. And so some of the cool statistics that we're seeing over here, and one of the probably the most common questions that we get asked is like, hey, crypto's been doing good, but like, what about all these crypto related companies? Like, are they seeing any kind of like significant growth and traction? What about volume? You know, is volume as good as it used to be? And they answer a lot of those questions kind of throughout this. So let's kick things off. Now, the stock is up more than 31% this year. And if we go over and we actually whip up a coin chart, we can see that Coinbase stock is not only up like 31% this year, but if we zoom out even towards like the lows when this thing was down at around $30 back in January of 2023, in about a year to a year and a half's time, it's up over 612%, even off the highs. And if we measure this from top to bottom, it's something like 800-900%. So this thing has been recovering quite well, but it's not alone. You know, you look at Marathon, you look at a lot of these other different crypto companies, and they're all, I mean, MicroStrategy especially, and they're all starting to do pretty well over here. Now, the cool thing here is that they're not even at their peaks yet. So what we saw here, especially with the Coinbase earnings, is that their net income rose to $1.17 billion, which makes the highest mark in over 9 quarters, while net revenue rose by 115% when compared to a year ago, or the period from a year ago. Now that in and of itself is wild. Again, these crypto exchanges, these crypto companies, everyone always says it doesn't matter, crypto's not backed by anything. Not only are a lot of the companies that are involved with crypto very profitable, but a lot of the projects are as well. You look at Maker, you look at Solana, you look at Ethereum now. There are actual projects that are generating hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. And I think a lot of people miss that. So not only are the projects doing it, but the kind of separated exchanges and other places are seeing record levels of revenue and record levels of income multiplying by over 100%, even from where they were a year ago, which is a really kind of cool thing to see as well. So what this means, and some other stuff that we saw over here, was that the global crypto trading volume, it's a bit of a tongue twister, for major coins reached its highest level since 2021, which means that it increased by 68% from a year ago, according to CoinMarketCap as well. Now, this surge lifted Coinbase transactions revenue from to $1.07 billion, which is nearly 3 times what it earned in trading fees in the first quarter of 2023. So volumes are increasing, transaction costs and fees and revenues and all these things are increasing for the crypto markets, which is actually marking a really healthy uptick. So Coinbase posted that its non-base trading subscriptions and services revenue rose by 41% a year ago to now 511 million. And there's all these different things, right? We can keep going on and on and on. Essentially, the crypto markets are still doing fine. And so when we look at Bitcoin over here, it's easy to kind of take a look at the market and go, man, well, it was at 74K and it dropped a whopping, 23.5% down here, and it's still down almost, if we measure this, it's still down almost 17%. But when we're looking at these crypto companies, it's not just like, hey, we saw a 5% increase in revenue. We saw a 10% increase in revenue. No, they're saying that they saw, certain verticals of like subscriptions rise by 41%. They saw trading activity, or rather volume, increase by 68%. They saw revenue increase by 115%, and Coinbase isn't alone here. Now, other crypto companies like Kraken are playing a major role in everything that's happening here as well, because what we have recently kind of come to light with in terms of information is that $24 billion in these crypto ETFs actually rely on a Kraken-owned company, CF Benchmarks. And so this is just showing that, again, Coinbase isn't the only one here that is profiting from all of this. They're not the only one that's dug into all of this. And the whole crypto space as a whole is continuing to move forward. Now, are we going to get more dips like this? Number one, I guess, is this the end? We don't know, right? Maybe not. I think we could actually go a little bit lower. I think it's possible. However, if we don't, it's a huge testimony to the sign of strength of Bitcoin here. Again, I think it's just too early to tell. However, I think that we can still go lower and be drastically bullish for the long term. And so what we're seeing here is just steady, sustained growth, even at a time like this where basically since March, things have been kind of declining very slowly. But the crypto space as a whole is still prevailing. Now, I've also seen articles like this one floating around saying, hey, the state of crypto is anything but strong. And you have to disagree, right? I don't know how, it's almost ironic. I don't know how anyone out there can read an article like this one saying the state of crypto is anything but strong. It's so weak, right? However, revenue rose by only 115%. Volume rose by only 68%. Certain other verticals of like revenue rose by 41%, but it's so weak. Revenue's only up over it's only up over 100% for some of the leading exchanges, and then other like crypto related companies and protocols. They're only making hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue compared to where they were a couple of years ago, and then call it weak. It almost seems like an oxymoron that the crypto market would be called not strong in relation to how much it's up year to date from a year ago, from 3 years ago, based on its revenue, trading volume, all these other things. I think that just about any metric that you can look at the crypto market and kind of base its strength off of is definitely on the stronger side. Now, does that mean that it can't fall and it can't fluctuate in price? Absolutely not, right? I think that'd be really silly to say, hey, the crypto market can't fluctuate, it can't cool down. After Bitcoin did, what was this from bottom to top? After it did a 400% rally in a matter of just over a year, I think it's a little silly to say, hey, it can't cool off, because we've seen that happen time and time again, right? We came off the lows, rose, pullback, rose, pullback, rose, pullback, pullback. And now we're just seeing the same thing kind of in the current day. And we're just cooling off for a little bit. And in the past, we've seen Bitcoin retest or maybe even kind of fall towards the 200-day moving average. And that's really all I see us doing kind of this time around. So time will tell. Even if we see a little bit more downside, I'm really not concerned. Again, not only do I think the technicals are fine, even if we fall a little bit further, I think the big takeaway here is that the metrics and the benchmarks and all these things that are happening behind the scenes, they look really, really positive, especially when we compare them to where we were a year ago, which is not something that we can say on the same side of inflation. So that's going to bring us to an end of today's video. I hope all of you did enjoy this one. Again, if you like the content that we make in these market updates, consider checking out those links in the description down below. Check us out on the Crypto 101 podcast YouTube channel as well. So that's going to wrap us up. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see all of you in next week's video.